I have with me Puneet Bhasin. She is an expert on cybercrime matters. Puneet, thank you for joining us on The Money Show. I want to start off my conversation first with this region of Jamtara because it's not just Jamtara but also Narayanpur and also one more region near these places that have seen a lot of cybercrime emanate. So what exactly is it that makes this region so infamous then, Puneet?
The reason is these entire villages are concentrated with criminals whose entire, you could say, economy and livelihood is on cybercrimes. So the entire methodology by which they operate is that whether they may be, from a very young age, education is not priority. So young children are absolutely inducted into the cybercrime trade. And that's easy money. So you see people out there have so much of free money. You have the best of brands available, Mercedes, all kinds of vehicles which are launching their showrooms out there, all of them because of the money power, because there's no investment involved, nothing involved apart from duping people. And all of this is an inspiration from a Romanian village called Hackerville. So this village has existed for years, almost 10 years, and the entire activity of this village is only to have cyber crimes all over the world, which are obviously the masterminds sit in Hackerville, and they're as young as, you could say, 10-year-old, 12-year-old children. There, an average 13, 14-year-old child has an Audi or a BMW. So that is the kind of, you could say, inspiration Jamtara in these regions have from Hackerville, which is, again, it was a very poor village in Romania, which suddenly saw a sea turn in its incomes.
That's very interesting data. Hackerville in Romania, I don't know how many of us may have actually heard of that, but like Puneet said, because of the sort of returns cybercrime does give, these people with very low investments from the outside world have managed to sort of make a very notorious name for themselves, have managed to amass wealth through all of these illegal means, because cybercrime literally requires only working internet. Okay. Puneet, now of course we have discussed the source of all of these cyber crimes and all of these cyber criminals that have emanated from the region. Now let's talk about what, Praneet Kaur in her case did wrong. What is the basics of protecting your money from such hackers that she has not followed, which has led to her losing 23 lakh rupees, Puneet?
Now that's one standard no-no. So anybody calls you, asks you over email, and as a matter of fact, a large number of banks are also constantly educating customers today that do not share your OTP. So the point is there are multiple ways today cyber criminals are gaining access to OTPs, but you yourself giving it out in a phone call is the easiest method, like where you're carried away in a conversation and you give out your OTP. So here, there is like a part responsibility even on a consumer end not to share this data. And a hacker is obviously a fraud. He is going to create such a situation that will kind of completely convince you that you have to give out the OTP. But let's say even if a person doesn't over a call give out the OTP, there are multiple mobile apps today. Women are downloading apps that make them look pretty, or like portraits, etc. And a lot of these apps don't even have origins well defined, and they are accessing your SMSs, everything on your phone, so they very clearly know your OTP. So it's not rocket science today.
Well, yeah, things have become a bit too easy. As convenience in our lives, improve. It looks like it's becoming even more easier for cyber criminals as well to take away our money, and that certainly is very, very scary. In fact, Puneet, we are getting some calls as well at this point in the show to perhaps share with us their stories and incidences. We have Mr. KVV Murthy from Bengaluru who's joining us on the phone line. Mr. Murthy, good evening. What would you like to share with us today?
Good evening, madam. See, I'm in Bangalore, and now last 3 months, daily I'm getting calls from so many banks.
You're right.
Having all my history, including my PAN card number, my address, phone number, my email ID, everything. They just propose on phone that we will give you credit card and all other loans, everything. I don't know how they are getting these numbers, whether the data has been leaked.
Okay, so they have your PAN card, they have your address, and this is something that certainly is perturbing you. And naturally, they have your phone number as well because they've been inundating you with calls. This is something that brings us to the topic of data protection, which has, of course, been, a very, very controversial topic in various countries. India as well has not been excluded from that. And Puneet, very often we get all these sales calls from not just banks, from various institutions, from various, real estate companies as well, for that matter. And like Mr. Murthy said, they have this PAN card number, they have other details as well. For Mr. Murthy, I think it's the bankers who are calling him. I'm not sure if it's a bank that he's already banking with or if it's just a third bank that he does not have a bank account with. But yeah, the fact is they seem to be having his PAN card and his address. Now, his question is, what are the various leakage points then where your data does unknowingly or knowingly by you get leaked to all of these, companies that then try to sell you their products? I mean, where can you be cautious about? Because you end up giving your PAN card and your other details to various entities. So where could you be cautious then there?
See, actually, here there are two sides. You can be cautious only with respect to, not downloading unknown apps. You can be cautious, not sharing your PAN card data, a lot of things. See, a lot of these applications that you download on your cell phone, when, they gain even access and screenshots to each and every screen image of your cell phone. So to that level, they can spy on everything you do. So definitely one point could be your own device from where this data is going out. The second point clearly would be the organization holding this data. It could be your banks, it could be your mobile telecom company service providers, a lot of these. Because see, I'll tell you how today's marketing in India is simply, the concept of purchasing databases. Data theft is the basis of marketing today. So how do you get databases? The only way databases come through is that there are people, either they're insiders in the company. So let's say they're an insider in a bank or a telecom company or any other organization who are actually selling that data. So data is very valuable. So that's like an additional source of income. The second possibility lies where there are third party service providers. So let's say there are certain services outsourced by a bank or outsourced by any organization, and those people, they may be storage companies, they may be, let's say, providing some ERP services or anything, and they have a lot of access to data. And these kind of organizations, when they are going about gaining access to your data and they are further selling it out, so for them giving that ERP is not the main source of income. For them, selling your data to third parties, which is used as so-called business analytics, business intelligence, you give it any fancy term, end of the day, the data used for all of this, if without adequate consent, is definitely an offense. But sadly, so our entire Indian marketing system is based on this, digital marketing in particular.
Well, yeah, I suppose, we do tend to click accept at every consent form that we get when you download apps, etc. And you don't know what kind of information you're divulging. That was a similar incident that took place even when Facebook was involved with the entire data protection, controversy. And since then, it's really blown up, and people have been taking the data privacy issue very, very seriously. It's in such a scenario, very quickly, Puneet, before I wrap it up with you, what is it that our viewers could do if they have to, do net banking? They don't have a choice, because nowadays, of course, net banking is very common. So very quickly, Puneet, if you could wrap up top 3-4 tips to ensure that via net banking, their data is not getting divulged to cyber hackers.
See, one of the methods is the device you use for net banking, refrain from downloading applications that you do not know the source of. So they may be extremely attractive applications, but don't download them. So if you have a device you're connecting to the internet for banking purposes or any form of wallet transactions also, refrain from downloading any other application. The second method is, see, even if you take an example of me, even I do indulge in net banking transactions, but then how do I protect myself? So my entire chunk of funds or savings accounts are off the internet. So they are in a bank account which does not have any transaction facility. So such a bank account is a very safe, secure bank account in my opinion. And I physically transfer funds into a bank.
Thank you, Puneet, for joining in.